Hello everyone, a warm welcome from GT in Thailand. Today, I and Sittichai are here to have conversation about a very engaging topic on compliance with regards to bribery and corruption. Both ranking and score of Thailand has not made much progress from 2012 till date. If you look at corruption perception index, it is a long journey for businesses in Thailand, but the good news is that we have already seen small steps taking in the right direction. In the room today, we both will be discussing a similar initiative. It is called as Collective Action Against Corruption, and how does it overlap with global practices of anti-bribery, anti-corruption. Without taking much time, let's dive straight into the topic. So Kunjub, thank you for joining me in the room today. I'm sure as a risk professional, you see compliance risk as one of the emerging risks which is being observed in the businesses today. I'm very keen to understand your perspective as a risk and compliance professional on the latest, or let's say last, CPI score of Thailand.
Okay, Kun Ashish, thank you for your question relevant to the corruption list, which actually is quite interesting in Thailand. Actually, as you refer to CPI index, for 2012, Thailand score is around 37,
Right.
but now it's only 36. So it has some improvement because of the current position of Thailand is 101 compared with 180 country in the list. That can demonstrate that it does not have the significant step improvement on that one. The reason behind that there does not have the significant improvement because of the you can observing in the business matter on the bribery and corruption in Thai, which actually we need a comprehensive solution to improve or mitigate those risks. However, they have some strong demonstration from the private sector as well, which actually initiate from the lead business organization in Thai with the Institute of the Director in Thailand by provide the initiate what we call Thai CAC.
So Thai CAC is a great concept. As a Farang working in Thailand for roughly about 4 years, I really find this interesting. But explaining the audience more from the perspective of a native, let's deep dive more. Can you elaborate more on what Thai CAC is for our audience?
Sure, Kun Ashit. So for Thai CAC, actually it stands for Thai Private Sector Collective Action Against Corruption, or what we call Thai CAC. This one was initiated since 2010 by the Institute of Director in Thailand.
Right.
For CAC, as you can understand that they provide the guideline for the business in Thailand to mitigate the risk of the corruption. So it's try to enhance the transparency of the business ecosystem in Thailand. So they give the guide or the short practice for the control that actually the business should provide or follow to mitigate that kind of risk.
All right. And I think when you say they provide guidance and the assessment is really in the form of those questionnaires, and even for the businesses to refer to that questionnaire and try to understand where all these risks could lie within their businesses. So it has to really be followed in an essence than just doing some tick in the box exercises.
Exactly. Yeah. So actually, I would like to give them an idea on what is the benefit to mitigate the bribery and corruption risks in Thai.
Right.
First one is the reputation and protect the brand from the bribery and corruption, which actually it will boost the confidence of the investor, not just the events as well. We have the customer and partner, which actually if they can trust on the business. So it means they have the good opportunity for the future improvement as well. That will be the first benefit. Second one is clearly spell out the company tolerance level on the issue relevant to the bribery and corruption risk, which will tackle the incident at the early stage, which actually is mean the impact is not significant enough, but it can mitigate those kind of things that may happen if you're not aware at the early stage. And last one, to promote the organic growth. As you can know that every time or most of the business in Thai try to grow so high, especially in the new sector like a startup,
Right.
However, maybe it's not certain enough in case that you cannot manage the bribery and corruption risks as well.
Right.
Okay, Kun Achit, as I explained relevant to the Thai perspective on how we countermeasure on the bribery and corruption risk, could you give me or demonstrate that on the global practice, is there any recommend or any case relevant to how to manage or how to mitigate the corruption risk?
So that's a great question, Kunju. And for me, as working as a compliance professional, I've always observed multiple points being given as a, let's say, leading practices globally, uh, and you can't really give sequence to it or numbering to it. But if you see, that everyone would almost say tone at the top as one of the key, as one of the key, let's say, leading practices. But tone at the top, how many people or how many businesses are really understanding the meaning or crux of this, let's say, terminology. It just does not mean that let's say, provide policies and procedures or you have oversight, but also it's kind of digs down to the commitment level of the key management people in
Exactly.
driving compliance, and let's say having tolerance level of ethics and compliance, or we can say anti-bribery and compliance, right? For the ones who have worked in the anti-bribery, anti-corruption area, this translates it to the commitment levels of the senior management in the organization. And you can demonstrate it by your commitment levels towards the programs of compliance, internal controls. You should also be dedicating resources to the cause of combating corruption and compliance risk. You should have measures of detecting and preventing anti-bribery, anti-corruption. You should have a clearly articulated and visible policy around these areas. So this is tone at the top for me. I don't know if you see some similarities with the Thai CSE.
Yes, correct. Actually, your demonstration of the global practice is quite similar to Thailand perspective for the CSC one.
Right.
Yeah, it starts with the tone at the top, like top level of the policy relevant to the bribery and corruption risk management. So it starts with the internal control that give it or committed by the top management, and it can be in the form of the policy, like you said, code of conduct, or even the policy relevant to the activity which may in the list of the corruption, like a gift or maybe traveling and expense or entertainment expense somehow. So the company should have that kind of internal control or even the policy procedure to ensure that the staff is understand and they should aware on what they should handle on that kind of incident. Next one is relevant to the communication. Even the company have the policy procedure, it does not mean that the staff can understand it clearly. So you should have the communication channel like training or even the email to explain on what is the policy procedure that relevant to the activity. And also you should have the some program which relevant to the whistleblowing to ensure that in case of the staff faced with that activity, so they have the channel to report or consult on what they should do in the situation that they quite understand that it may take a risk on the corruption or bribery. And last one, actually you should have the oversight mechanism like an internal audit or even outsource as well to ensure that the things that they do is aligned with the policy procedure, or sometimes they need the independent advice on how to improve the internal control relevant to this kind of thing.
I think absolutely right, and I see a great reflection of these leading practices which are coming from globally, and I would say IOD has done a great job in adopting or at least reflecting on their intent of improving the situation around bribery and corruption in Thailand, just to identify the root cause of that main issue, right? And then, these policies should bring in learnings which have come from the risk assessments. And then from these learnings, you would sort of demonstrate it to, you will cascade it down to that policy level of not just the code of conduct, but you would go down to certain very relevant policies such as gift and hospitality, sponsorship, donation, charitable contributions, travel and entertainment, like you mentioned. It could be petty cash because that is widely exploited, let's say, medium around bribery and corruption. So these are the things which you need to tighten. And then, majority of the businesses tends to sort of ignore the risk which is arising from the third party that they engage with or have relationships with. They think that they have mitigated their risk if they have engaged a third party in a government interaction. The answer is clearly no. So you should really start from doing your diligences correctly and then making sure that you're doing business with the right kind of people, right? That's there. And then the processes around, reporting and assessment that we spoke about. Rewards and penalties happens to be a great demonstration around the leading practices which are being spoken globally on anti-bribery, anti-corruption. So yeah, that's more likely it. And talking about these controls, Sittichai, I would like to know a bit more from you on the controls with Thai CAC kind of let's say indicates for the businesses to get certified or even get reassessed.
Sure ครับคุณ Ashish. Actually, as the CAC provide a checklist as the guideline for the business to follow to mitigate those kind of risks. But to be honest, the list actually needs some more experience on how we can implement practically in Thai style. Because please understand that in each country they also have the culture that may different on the perspective of the bribery and the corruption one. So let me give you an idea about that one. In the questionnaire, actually they start with the tone at the top of the company on how top management can commit on those kind of things. Somehow it's like a code of conduct or even some policy like a corporate governance one. However, to implement or cascade down into the first line of defense, right. Practically they need some more mechanism. First one is like risk management relevant to the corruption and bribery. So at first they should identify or address on what will be or could go wrong in the business relevant to those risks. And then they should find out the control that may mitigate those kind of things before they assess. So after they can identify some control, next is how we can transform that wording in the risk management template to be the practical one. The easiest way is the policy procedure. But the next one is how to communicate those one right. To be easy for the staff to understand this. Because in the company, please aware on the variance of the staff as well. Someone is from the graduate school, sometimes maybe undergraduate as well, like an intern. However, all of them still hold the brand of the company or business. So that's why the way to communicate those policy procedure, or I mean the control in the risk management template, should be able to understand by them as well. And also not just the communication, but you should have some refreshment program to ensure that they can understand it or update some situation like you mentioned for the third party management. As we understand as well that to mitigate those kind of incidents, we can use a third party on behalf of us to manage those transactions. And as you agree as well, it's quite the lift of the company if we use the improper third party as well. So the communication way should be clear and update those kind of things for the staff of the company to aware when they need or they use the third party. And last one about the reward and the penalty. As you understand that somehow if the KPI is quite put pressure on the staff, for example the volume target or sale target, so sometimes the staff may have some reason behind on why they may perform some transaction that nearly to call or demonstrate the risk of the corruption or bribery. The basic incident or transaction is like if you are the driver and if you would like to satisfy your management, so you try to drive it so fast or whatsoever, sometimes you will meet with the police. So yeah, sometimes really not sometimes every time that police acknowledge that kind of thing, they will send the bill to you. So the driver is get some kind of this thing maybe if they would like to mitigate the risk or the incident by themselves without inform the company, so they may pay the money that to the police directly, which actually is the corruption lah.
Right.
So the risk, the reward and the penalty actually should be clear for them as well. That if they do, they will got the punishment in case of that. And also if they promote the ecosystem of the business on how to mitigate those kind of risks, we should give the reward or encourage them to do that as well. That will be the good way of practice in Thai. So actually, I understand that for Grand Thornton, we have the framework what we call to prevent, detect, and respond on those kind of risks. So can you elaborate more on that kind of thing for us?
Absolutely. So I think before we do that, Kun Sittichai, I'm taking two examples from you on communication as well as that police example that you gave, right? So on communication, I also heard a very seasoned professional who's working in the areas of anti-bribery, anti-corruption. He says if you are imparting training to employees, let's say in this part of the world, and you have someone who's speaking from Denver, the local will not be able to relate to that person so much. So when you do have programs such as communication around these important issues, you got to speak their language, you got to understand their culture much better than just talking from a very book perspective.
Yeah,
so that's one. Second is the police example that you gave. I think the risk assessments and every other kind of detection mechanisms should be empowered enough to detect such incidents and then have a mitigation plan around it. That if such and such incident had happened, how you going to investigate it, how you going to penalize, how you going to take that learning back to the larger audience from policy to communication. I think that's the key. Now coming back to the the larger framework around, let's say you said prevent, detect, and respond. I think everyone from our domain do understand prevent, detect, respond, but from really the audience perspective who needs to scale up on their mission statement of anti-bribery, anti-corruption. I think some of the foundations of this program, and per se, let's take the first pillar, which is prevent. It is your code of conduct. So policies around gift and hospitality, sponsorships, donations, charitable contributions, corporate social responsibility, travel and entertainment. This is again a preventive mechanism. Then you have your communication, that you are educating your employee by telling them the do's and don'ts, also telling them the rewards and recognitions around it, right? By doing a good, by demonstrating a good practice. And then you look at the second pillar, which is around detection. Now, detection, I think I'm a great fan of whistleblowing. So one of the greatest mechanism, and even if you see the ACFE or Association of Certified Fraud Examiners latest report, it says it is even a better mechanism than the internal audit. So whistleblowing has to be one of the best mechanisms. Third-party due diligence, that's again a detection mechanism. Doing your reviews, risk assessments, again is one of your detection mechanism. And using or leveraging, let's say, technology in terms of data that the company is consuming is in so many shapes and forms that also has to be looked at. And the last is respond. Now, if you have a risk incident which is being reported through a whistleblowing hotline channel or getting highlighted through a risk assessment, how are you responding to that? What kind of investigation steps, procedures are you applying? What what kind of resources are you dedicating for that investigation? What is the corrective action against it? And finally, once everything is let's say investigated and you have found the root cause, then what is your takeaway and learnings from that? So this is essentially the framework which largely works, and I think it has this framework has demonstrated that it works really well if it is adopted in spirit. Now, when we talk about prevent, detect, and respond, I'm sure when Thai CAC is established, they are here for the companies to, take certain actions, right? So what is the requirement of the industry in Thailand is such with in line with the Thai CAC?
Okay, so actually the things that you explain us actually is quite in line with the Thai CAC checklist. However, Thai CAC checklist may not sequential like what you said lah. But to be honest, it's quite sequence based on what should happen first until the end
Right.
of the process. So I can explain like they provide those kind of guide for the business that actually is quite adequate or sufficient to manage that kind of risk. However, as you can imagine as well, it depends on how mature of the company or business on how they can design or implement those kind of control. And if they have the proper function in the organization, yeah, we can create the framework of the prevent, detect, and also the response as well. Because in each step, sometimes you need some more experience or maybe the expertise from the outside, which actually may better than the inside. Sometimes I can give you an idea like maybe we are familiar with the current practice in business. However, if you compare with other the peers or even the regional level, sometimes this kind of thing is already occur and they may use that loop to be take advantage on the corruption or bribery as well.
Right.
So that's why we need the detect and also the response, because after you found that kind of the incident, not just to handle on that incident, but what you should learn from that kind of thing and how we can improve the process. As you mentioned on the automation as well, I agree that it will be good in case that the root cause is based on the people. We can mitigate those kind of root cause by implement or design the automation process. And yeah, maybe that will need some more experience from the outsource to provide or comment on that kind of thing as well.
Right.
Yeah, and as I explained, you will understand that it's quite comprehensive or maybe complicated in somewhere, and you need more one party to involve on this kind of thing. So the things that we as Grand Thornton in Thailand can help or support the business to meet the minimum requirement from the Thai CAC. First one is the assessment of the readiness of the business against the CAC checklist. That one we can help you to address or identify the gap and the recommendation on those kind of things. And after you can improve that in accordance with our recommendation, it means that the control is sufficient. The rest is how you can operate that one effectively along the way. So on that kind of thing, in case of the business have some limitation on how to design or follow what we recommend, actually we can help or support the business as well on what it should be done to support or mitigate the risks that still exist after the gap assessment. And yeah, after we decide, we need to work closely with the management team as well on how to customize or tailor-made those kind of things. And in case that they tailor so much or customize so much to override some control, that we can help you to remind that, yeah, sometimes the risk still exists because of the customization as well. And lastly, after you already get the certified from the CAC, yeah, to ensure that you still follow what the things that you should do, and you make it properly along the way, Thai CAC have a requirement that you need to renew it.
All right.
And for sure, the renew does not mean that you can present the evidence as you used to at the first time, because it means the situation may change or the business environment may change according to the time. So it means that we should have some updated on our control as well. What the sample on that one? First one is regular review on the policy procedure.
Right.
Also, you can provide, I should not say provide, I mean to attend some training from others, external party who provide the lecture or maybe give you an idea on what is happening at the moment. I can give you an idea about before that we use the fiat money. But now we also have the digital money. It's not just the physical cash, but now we have the online. So the way to do the bribery is may change. The things that we use to control them should update to reflect those kind of risks as well.
Right.
that we can help the business on. If you use this one long time ago, I mean last 3 years, so you can update them, you can revisit on what we have, and also update from our experience, not just in Thai, but maybe in the regional or even global perspective on what they should improve in the future, which actually is can be the sustainable way to mitigate this kind of risk.
All right. So I think we here in the room we spoke about how we as Grant Thornton in Thailand are helping the organizations in combating the bribery and corruption issue and how to be more compliant and sensitive towards this issue. If you have any issues around bribery and corruption, and if you want to better yourself in the businesses, kindly reach out to us.